For today's Pop In for Positivity, I would like to discuss another contributing factor to the contention that exists between people, and that's the inability to listen. Listening is an art form that can help bring people together and lead to success in life, but unfortunately, society today enables and encourages us to do exactly the opposite. Um, Today, we're taught everything's all about self expression. Everything's about my blog, my selfie, my iPad, my iPhone. Everything teaches us today to be self centered and to get who we are out there, our self expression, and it's all self centered. Um, Unfortunately, we're not taught at all to listen to the other person. And if we can't listen to the other person, we can't develop relationships and we can't make a successful society. Also, today, everything is either, texting or sound bites, which automatically teaches us to categorize and label. And we do this nowadays. We do this in our life. When people say something, we're so quick to label the other person or put them in a category and say, oh, okay, either we like that or we don't like that. And we'll accept and reject people based on these categories that we built. And we're not really listening to the fullness of the person. And people are usually so much more than the one thing that they decided, that one political view or that one, kippah they wear. And if we automatically categorize people and label people and accept and reject based on these things, we're causing further divide. So it's very important to listen to people and to hear the nuances and the intricacies of what they're saying to try and understand and be a better listener. And we don't do that today. I think very much I compare people today, the way they have a conversation reminds me how little children, how they parallel play. They're in the same room and they're each engaged in their own activity, but they're not interacting together. Somehow adults seem to be doing that even when they're having a conversation. So someone will be talking, and if someone will even give them the time without interrupting, which is also unique. Let them say what they want to say. Usually, people will do that, but they're holding their own thoughts and they're just waiting for their turn to say their experience or to discuss their agenda. They're not really listening to the other person. We're just two people talking to each other, taking turns, and it's just kind of ridiculous and silly. It's not talking to each other. It's kind of having your own soliloquy, but someone else being in the room. And I think we need to fix that. We need to learn how to have a conversation. And in order to have a conversation, what we have to do, I think, first and foremost, is not to multitask. And when I say not to multitask, I don't just mean, put away your cell phone and don't do two or three other things while the person's talking to you. I also mean not to have your brain multitasking, to focus on the person when they're talking and to focus on what they're saying, not what your response is going to be or not what your preconceived notions, but focus on what they're saying on the word at the time and try and understand. And don't assume that you understand what they're saying. Ask for clarification, because sometimes we think we know what somebody's saying, and if we don't ask, the more questions you ask, the more clarification you'll get and the more information you'll find out. And a lot of times things are not what you thought were so obvious in the beginning. So it's very important to further discuss, ask questions, and try and understand what the person's saying. In addition, it's very important to when you're clearing your mind, to put all judgment aside. If you're judging, then you're closing off the other person. People can sense when you're judging. It's very important to try and understand why somebody said what they said and what the motivating factors, what the history, all the information that comes together. And you have to put your judgment aside and see what you can learn about the other person and make them feel comfortable enough to be able to express that by not threatening them with your preconceived judgments. So you have to express or let it be known somehow in your demeanor or even in words that you're not judging, that you might have, different opinions or experiences in life, but that you're open and you want to understand the other person and what they're about, and that it's important to you because you care about the person and you want to be able to be in a relationship that works, or to be able to help the person because you care enough to help the person. So it's important to make that known. It's also very important to make it very clear, and I think this needs to be verbalized, that you can have a different opinion. You can tell the other person that disagreeing with me, or my disagreeing with you, does not make me accept or reject you, whether we have the same or differing opinions. Is that um, I understand that you're more than your opinion on one thing, and our relationship is not threatened based on what you think on one area. And it's very important to make that known, and you can never say that too much until a person really understands that. I think listening is so important, that we see it so much in our religion. We see the word, Shema. I'll take one example just so that I can be quick. When we daven and we say Shema Kolinu, when we're talking to God and we say, listen to our voice. Now, Kol, it really represents our essence. When we come to God and we're either asking for something, or we've fallen and sinned in one area, and we want to express ourselves to God, and we want God to, know, we want him to hear us, is what we're saying is, God, don't just listen to my one request of I need or want this, or don't just listen to the fact that, I've done, let's say, this thing wrong. Try and take into account my essence, everything about me, my history, my experiences, everything that led me to this point. Shema, meaning listen, meaning understand. Understand the fullness of Kolinu, my voice, my essence, that brought me to this point to be either saying or expressing or doing this action. And we want that very much. It's easier when you come to God because he has that knowledge. But when we talk to people, everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be understood for who they are, for the essence, the fullness of their whole person. And in order to make a successful society, if we open ourselves to trying to understand that, to trying to understand the other person, then we can have a successful conversation, and we can work together into making a society that works for everybody, where we all care and listen and hear and work together. So I would like to hopefully try and myself be a better listener. And if we all work on that slowly, we'll definitely get closer to where we're trying to go. So thank you for tuning in, and see you next time on Poppin' for Positivity.